Hello my keto peeps, it's Samaya and welcome back to my channel, I Don't Sugarcoat. Today I'm going to show you guys how I make a keto Pop-Tart. So let's get started. Before we begin, today's video is sponsored by Wholesome Provision. They're a company that's located locally right here in the US, and they specialize in making keto-friendly products, two of which are now staples in my keto kitchen, and that's their Lupin Flour and their Allulose sweetener blend. Go on their website today and check out their catalog of products. I'm certain there's something on there that all of you will be able to find and want to check out. They also sell their products on Amazon, so you can check them out on there. I'll leave a link for their website in the description of this video. So let's jump into this recipe. To begin making a keto Pop-Tart, we are going to start with my flaky pie crust recipe that we're going to just be making a few adjustments to. This is going to be more like a fruit pastry than a Pop-Tart, I guess you could say, because of the way that I'm doing the crust. I prefer mine to be more flaky and not quite as hard in texture, but it's still going to give you that Pop-Tart feel. So let's go ahead and get started with making the crust. We're going to go ahead and add in half a cup of Lupin Flour to our bowl here. Next, we're going to add in half a cup of some oat fiber. To this, we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of some vital wheat gluten. In here, I have half a teaspoon of salt and I have 1 teaspoon of some baking powder. Next, I'm going to be adding in half a teaspoon of some ground vanilla. If you do not have ground vanilla, that's fine. You can just add more of the vanilla extract when we get to that process. But I kind of like doing both of them, so that's what I'm going to be adding here. And that's half a teaspoon. And then we're going to be adding 3/8 of a cup of some of this Allulose sweetener blend here. And I really like the way this works in this recipe. So 3/8 of a cup of that. And to get that, you'll just do 1/4 of a cup of some sweetener, and then you can half that, or if you have 1/8 of a cup, which I have a 1/8 of a cup measuring cup, then you'll just do that 3 times. So now we just want to mix this together. Now we're going to add this to our food processor, and we're going to be adding in 1 stick or 1/2 a cup of cold cubed butter. And now you just want to let this pulse a few times until the dough gets nice and crumbly, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, now that that is done, and it already smells so amazing, you guys, with the little bit of ground vanilla in it. Oh my God, it smells so amazing. So what I want to do now is I want to add some water, and you want it to be some ice water. I have 8 tablespoons of some ice water in here. And so I'm going to pour about half of this to get started. Okay. And then I'm going to be adding 1 teaspoon of some vanilla extract. And if you didn't have the ground vanilla, go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of the vanilla extract. And now we're going to go ahead and turn this on and let this come together until it forms a ball of dough. Now you might need to add a little more water. We will check on that as it starts to come together. Okay, and I'm really happy with the way this feels, so I'm not going to be adding any more water. So that was about 4 tablespoons of water that I added to this. If you feel as though yours needs a little more, then add a little more, but for me, this is going to work just fine right here. Now we're going to divide our dough into 2 equal pieces. Since we're making Pop-Tarts, we want to have a top layer, and we want to have the bottom layer. So we're gonna go ahead and get this divided nice and equally. So I'm going to turn on my scale here and I'm going to weigh this and see how much this is so I know how much I need to split it, how much it needs to be split by. And this is going to be 414 grams. So we're going to want to split this into two and make sure that they come out to 207. That's close. All right, now that I have my equal parts, all I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this into some saran wrap, and we want to shape it into the size of a square so it'll make it easier when we go to roll it out once it comes out of the refrigerator. So I'm going to just roughly get this into a rectangle here and place it right in the middle of my saran wrap, and I'm gonna fold it to where the edge of the saran wrap is just touching the middle, and I'm gonna have this extra space out here. And now using my rolling pin, I'm going to roll this out some. All right, now this is pretty good right here. We don't need it to be absolute and perfect. We just want to get it sort of in the shape so that way when we go to roll it out, once it's ready, it will be much easier. Now we're going to go ahead and place these in the refrigerator for 4 hours, and then we will be ready to make our Pop-Tarts with them. So let's put this in the fridge for 4 hours, and we will move on to our filling, and then we'll come back and assemble. To do the filling, we're going to start with adding 2 cups of raspberries to a pot. And you can use really whatever type of fruit you want. I'm just choosing to use some frozen raspberries. I've done this with blackberries, mixed berries, strawberries. You can do it with whatever kind of berries you like. So today I'm using some frozen raspberries, and I'm going to be adding this to my pot here. And I'm going to turn this on to about medium. And what we want to do is we want to let this cook down. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of some lemon juice. We want to let this cook down until the berries are nice and smushable. And then we're going to go ahead and puree it. You can choose to skip pureeing it if you don't want to, and just leave it with chunks of fruit in it if you like. I personally don't like the chunks of fruit, so that's why I'm going to run mine in the blender to puree it. I'm adding half a cup of the allulose to this. And so now we just want to let this cook and get all nice and softened. Now, because we're using fruits, you know, fruit has a lot of carbs in it. Just these 2 cups of raspberries is 16 net carbs. So there are a couple of ways that you can do this recipe to cut down on the carb count of these. If you want to do full size, like today, I'm going to do full size Pop-Tarts, but a lot of the time I will cut it and make minis. So it'll be half the size of a regular Pop-Tart, and that cuts down on the carb count. And I usually use those as a snack or sometimes, you know, as a little addition to my breakfast, so that I'm not getting as much carbs because of the berries. But another thing you can do that I like to do sometimes, and I won't be doing it today, but you can add some chia seeds to this filling, and it will help to thicken it up, expand it out, and there's a slight difference in taste, but not that much. I don't find it to be that huge of a difference in the taste. So if you want to try something like that, you can add anywhere between 2 to 4 tablespoons of some chia seeds to this mix. And that's one way of getting your fiber, but also, like I said, it will expand this filling and you won't be using as much. So you can end up turning this into a double batch, and you can make, you know, twice as many Pop-Tarts. You would have to make, obviously, more of the crust. You'd have to make 2 batches of that. But by adding the chia seeds, it will double the quantity of this. Now, because my berries were frozen, it did not take very long for this to come together. So I'm going to go ahead and get it off of the heat. I'm going to stick it into my blender and get it nice and pureed. And then we're going to run it through a sieve and get it sitting in the refrigerator to chill. So I'll be back in just a sec. So here we are. I'm ready to now go ahead and blend this. And you know what? I changed my mind, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and add a little chia seeds just so I can get in a little bit more fiber in my diet. I mean, why not? But you don't have to do this, as I said. This is completely optional. So I'm going to be adding 2 scoops, which each scoop is about 1 tablespoon. And I'm going to be adding it now so that way it can get all nice and pureed with the rest of the mixture. And so we're just going to let this go until this looks nice and creamy. So I've let this go for about 45 seconds. And what I did not consider when doing this was that the chia seeds would probably go ahead and start to expand and stuff already. So that's fine. The one thing I do know about using this Vitamix is that when I've pureed fruit before, is that it usually grinds the seeds completely, and you know, it's not going to be anything that I'm going to taste or whatever, or feel rather. So I don't need to run this through a sieve anymore because it's gotten all nice and thick. So I'm just going to go ahead and scoop this into my bowl, and we're going to let this sit in the refrigerator. Now, there are a few of the chia seeds that are still kind of whole because they kind of got splashed up to the top of the container, and that's fine. I have done this where I have not put the chia seeds in at the same time and just have eaten the chia seeds whole in this mixture. And it really just tastes like, or feel like, I don't know why I keep saying taste. It really just feels like you're biting into fruit seeds. So it's not terrible at all. But like I said, you can totally skip this part. You do not have to add the chia seeds to this. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let this chill for 4 hours along with the pie crust, well, the Pop-Tart crust. And once it's done, we will come back and we will assemble and get these ready to bake. As you can see, the sun has come up, so obviously 4 hours have passed, and now I am ready to start assembling these Pop-Tarts. So I went ahead and already rolled out my dough and got them cut and lined with a ruler. I used a ruler, and it's probably going to be off a little bit because I really was just trying to get a rough cutout of this. And now what I want to do is I'm going to cut these out and leave them on the parchment paper because I want them to bake on this, but I want to get them cut out so they're their own individual pieces. Just make sure you make it into a rectangle. Okay, so you want to get it cut out to 9 by 11. And so this way you will have 3 that will be 3 inches, and then this way it'll be 5.5 inches. Okay, so now that I have them cut out, what I want to do is now I want to go ahead and start adding my filling to the center of these. And this is nice and thick, just the way I wanted it, so it'll be nice and spreadable. And so we just want to get it right in the center, and you want to leave a border because we need to be able to brush that with an egg wash and seal it. All right, so now I've got it all spread out on here. And as you can see, by adding that bit of chia seeds in here and thickening it up, I only ended up using half of this filling. So now these will be divided up by 8 grams of net carbs. So that's roughly, I think it's gonna be somewhere around 1.5 grams of net carbs per filling. So that is what adding the chia seeds does. So now what I want to do, now that I've got my filling put on here, I'm going to brush the edges with the little egg wash, because the next step will be we want to seal these with the top part. All right, so I've brushed all the edges, and now what I want to do here is I'm going to take the top layer, this is the second part of the dough, and I'm going to cut this out really quick. And I've already docked it with my pie docker, and just to give it sort of that Pop-Tart look. And then I'm going to place each piece on top of these, and then we'll start to put them on our cookie sheet. As you can see, I've got them all nice and neatly cut out. The tops are on them beautifully. They've got the little docked holes in them that is signature to a Pop-Tart. So what we want to do now is put these in the refrigerator and let them stay in there for about 30 minutes uncovered, just so the crust can get back cold again and the butter can get solidified a little bit more before we bake them. After 30 minutes, you're going to put them in an oven that's been preheating at 325, and you're going to bake these for roughly 25 minutes. Because everybody's ovens are different, I would suggest you start checking them around the 15-minute mark for coloring to see if they're starting to turn golden yet. If they are the color that you want them to be, go ahead and just lay a sheet of aluminum foil over them and then let them continue to cook until you hit the 25-minute mark. So that's what I'm going to do now. These are going in the refrigerator, and then they're going in the oven, and I'll come back and show you what they look like next. So I've let these sit and cool, and they are so light. They're going to be flaky and airy. So what we want to do now is we want to get the icing for this made. And in here I have 1 cup of the Allulose sweetener blend. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a splash of vanilla to this, probably somewhere between a half a teaspoon and 1 teaspoon. I'll let you guys decide how much of that you want to put in there. And in my cup here, I have 4 tablespoons of some non-dairy milk. I'm going to start off by adding 2 tablespoons and get to whisking this together and see what I get. Now we don't want to let this get too watery, because we want this to hold its shape on the Pop-Tarts. So we don't want to let this get too watery here. And so now I'm going to add the rest of it. Well, I'm going to add another tablespoon and see what that gets me. Okay, so it looks like 3 tablespoons is about what you need to put in here. Okay, and so now what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and add this on top of my Pop-Tarts. And this is the reason why you want it to be thick. You don't want it to be runny and running off. You want it to sit right on top of the pastry. So now that they're all nice and iced, the best part is yet to come. I'm going to be adding some of People's Keto, which is made by Wholesome Provisions. I'm going to be adding some of the sprinkles to the top, you guys. And this is totally my favorite part of this. So I'm going to keep this one out, and I'm going to put these in the fridge. So let's go ahead and open this up. And it probably would have been best if I gave this a chance to let the icing set, but I wanted you guys to get to see in the inside, there's the filling. The crust looks flaky, you guys. Now, some of my other ones have more filling in it than this particular one, which is why I chose to open it, because I want to get nice pictures of the other one. So just stuff it with however much filling you prefer. I was also trying to keep mine pretty low in carbs. So there's that. But this is it, guys. This is my version of a keto Pop-Tart. I'm going to leave the nutritional facts for this recipe in the description of the video. So if you like this video, you guys, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ding that little bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video. And until next time, you guys, bye.